I know you did a while ago a highlight show. I remember seeing that a few years back, where I think the Great Christmas Shows about Sullivan. Didn't you host that a few years ago?
That's right.
On
yeah,
TV,
that's
yeah.
Right. They put together a I did. I think I did 9 appearances on that show, starting in 1960 when I was I was really just starting out. I just made the record album and
the Button Down album, right?
The Button Down
Yeah.
and
Right.
they called and said, "Would you like to do 6 Ed Sullivan shows?" Well, they were so powerful. I mean. So I think the first year I did 6, and then I finally was doing a total of 9, I think.
And that was, I mean, people say live. That was live. I mean, you were on. That was it. There was no tape, right?
That was it. Yeah. Whatever happened, happened. And whatever it said, he said.
Remember the classic story with Jackie Mason when I guess they tried to cut his down because I think President Johnson was going to talk and Jackie ad-libbed, but it got him in trouble.
Yeah, he gave the finger. And,
it looked like he was, yeah.
That's it, yeah. And then I remember one time I was watching the show, and it was a Sunday before Veterans Day, before Memorial Day, and Ed said, he said, "We have here now," he said, "Monday is Veterans Day, and we have some of the fine veterans in our audience from the paraplegic section of the hospital. Fellows, would you stand up?" And everyone froze. They couldn't believe what Ed was saying.
Did he really say at one time, maybe it's apocryphal, introducing somebody or music from World War II? Was that him that said that?
No. You know who that was? That was Lawrence Welk.
Oh, Lawrence Welk. Okay.
Lawrence Welk said, yeah. Now Du Bois said, going to play some music from World War II.
See what you want about Ed. I mean, he kind of bumbled his way along, but he was still entertaining. He didn't make you squirm,
Yeah,
I mean,
and he just had that. He had that golden gut that he knew what people wanted to see.
Yeah.
And he knew the order. He just in his head, he just knew the right order of people. And to close with this, open with that.
A great show.
He was like, everybody felt they were better than Ed.
Yes.
People at home watching were sure they could do a better job than Ed did.
Well, you mentioned the great Johnny Carson before. I had a chance a couple of times to interview Ed before he passed, unfortunately, a few years ago, and Doc. I never had a chance to talk to Johnny, but you had so many great appearances there. That must have been another highlight for you, right?
Yeah, I filled in. Someone told me this. I don't keep track of those things, but someone had told me that I had filled in for Johnny like 180 times or something.
Wow.
And I remember one time I filled in for 3 weeks. Johnny and NBC were having this salary fight, so they needed somebody. So I went into New York and I hosted the show for 3 weeks. And at the end of the 3 weeks, I was brain dead. I did it for 3 weeks. How the man did it for 30 years.
Oh yeah.
It takes a real dedication to. I have renewed admiration for Johnny after that.
I guess, and then it was the 90-minute show back then, right?
Originally, yeah.
Yeah, 90 minutes. And you always had to do the diet book doctor in the last segment. That must have been the toughest part.
I know.
I've had to do my share of those interviews on the radio. They're not fun. How many ways can you lose weight?
What we used to do, I'd come on, and then an actress would come on. I moved on the couch. This was in the 90-minute days, and usually the last 20 minutes was an author.
Right.
Johnny would have an author on, and sometimes they were very interesting, and sometimes they were dull. And this particular night, they were dull. The guy was really dull. And so I was down at the end of the couch with Ed was right next to me, and I nudged Ed with my elbow, and I pointed to the clock, and I said, when Johnny looks away, move it back 5 minutes. And so the expression on Johnny's face when he looked at the clock was like, Oh, they got to be kidding. I got another 15 minutes with this guy. You know? So the next time I did the show, they had put glass over
You put the glass
over the clock.
It used to be in the talk shows. You're right. Guests would move down the couch, and they don't do that anymore. I guess the guest leaves, but I like those old days. And then you have like the panel discussion. I guess there's a famous one with Bob Hope, Dean Martin. I think George Goebel were all together, and just the way they kind of threw lines out. And those were great days, you know.
Yeah, that was the one where George said. He said, "Did you ever feel like the whole world is a tuxedo and you're a pair of brown shoes?"
That's right. And Dean is flicking the ashes of his cigarette into George's drink.